Howdy ho. So, this is a question I've been wondering for a very long time. And the question is, can you put a dump insert in a short bed truck? So, as most people know, um, on a light duty truck, most trucks nowadays come with like a 5.5 foot bed or 5 foot 4 inches. They don't come with a full size bed really anymore unless you order it, or occasionally they'll have one or two on the lot, but it's not common. So when I got my truck, it was never meant to be a full-blown work vehicle. I was part-time in my business, and then I finally went full-time, and I still had this truck. It was new, and it was just easy to modify this for what I needed. And honestly, it works just fine for what I'm doing. I know it's not meant for it. I get it. Get a lot of hate for it when you talk to people about it, but at the end of the day, it works just fine. I already have it. There's no reason to change anything up. So my question was, can you put a dump insert inside a short truck bed? And I looked around online. I didn't find any pictures of anybody that did it. No videos of somebody that's done it. So I gave it a whirl. I found a used one for $1,000. Needed a little paint. This is a 6 foot dump bed, and my truck is a 2018. It has the 5 foot 4 bed, I believe. As you can see, it does hang off about a foot. Kind of bothered me at first, but it's growing on me. It don't really bother me anymore. Um, I am gonna put sides on it. I was holding off on the sides. I'm gonna build wood sides. I was holding off on that until I got different springs put on. So first of all, like I said, it does hang off. As you can see, the hinge is kind of hanging off. I did put a piece of flat steel across just to try to level out the pressure, that it doesn't put it just down two areas, and it does spread it out. But it operates just fine. It fits in just fine. As far as I know, these are all pretty similar. This is a Truckcraft. They're made in Pennsylvania. But it's the same thing as like a dumper dog or I forget, there's another big one. Anyway, you get the point. They're all pretty much the same. So basically, I put a 6 foot insert inside of a short bed, a truck. Because like I said, I already had this truck, and it didn't make sense for me to go buy a new truck because I have my plow set up on this truck, and it was just easier to modify it for what I needed. So the only other thing that I did do, sorry, I know this camera's kind of crazy. The only thing I did do that I would definitely, I wouldn't even consider if you were going to do it, not doing this. It's backwards, but it's called Tough Truck, TUF truck, and they're basically just heavy duty coil springs. I put those in the back, and they're supposed to add, I think they're supposed to add like, I think it was 700 or 800 pounds payload, extra capacity. I will tell you, this thing sits up probably 4 or 5 inches higher than it did before, and that's with the insert in it. I had the trailer hooked up, and it barely squats. I mean, if you see, look how much room is in there. There's a lot. I mean, I was stepping on this thing, trying to make it go down. I mean, it's pretty stiff. That is the only downside. It is a lot more stiff ride, obviously, but I use this thing pretty much just for work, so it doesn't really bother me. But yeah, moral of the story is a 6 foot insert will fit in a short bed. I wouldn't put a bunch of weight in it, and the reason being is, one, the truck's payload capacity isn't typically enough, and also that hinge, like I said, is hanging off. So I don't plan on putting a lot of weight in it myself, so I'm not too concerned about that. But if I decide to add more weight, I was thinking I could probably buy a plate that stretches the width of that, slide it underneath a few feet, and have it come out, just to help so there's not all that pressure on that hinge. I think you could probably do that, and it would be just fine. But for me, honestly, it's just going to be for like bush trimmings, taking out old bushes, leaves in the fall, stuff of that nature. Maybe a little bit of mulch, but not more than maybe 2 yards, if that. I really got it for leaves, grass clippings, mulch, bushes, stuff to that nature. I'm not gonna put no rock in the back of this thing. It's not what it's made for. But if you could find an insert cheap, it's not a bad deal. It will work. and it's actually not bad at all. But definitely do the spring upgrade, at least on the Ram, because the Ram uses coil springs, where like the Ford and the Chevys, they have leafs. You might be able to get away a little better with those trucks, but on the Dodges, or I'm sorry, the Rams, you definitely want to do the upgraded coil springs. Those coil springs were $200, I believe. They weren't bad. Super easy to install. All I did was take off the sway bar, disconnect the shocks. I didn't even take the tires off. And oh no, I'm sorry, I lied. I did take tires off. But yeah, just disconnected the sway bar, the shocks, and then these came right out with no spring compressor or anything. Like I said, this stuff is Tough Truck. It's TUFTRUCK.com. I'm pretty sure they had these springs for all different trucks. So there you go, guys. It can be done. People might laugh. People might think it's stupid. But you know what? If you already have a light duty truck and you want some form of dumping and you don't want to have to pull it out by hand, and you can get a used insert, this isn't a bad bet. And if this was like I had an F-150 before, if this was an F-150, I would have felt a lot more comfortable about putting this in there, just because their payload capacity is higher, and in my opinion, they're just tougher trucks. They're just beefier in the suspensions, but it can be done. I'm really happy with these springs. Like I said, even with my trailer with it completely loaded down with the insert in it, I mean, it barely even moves it. So you can do it. Don't let people talk you out of it. Don't put 400 ton of rock in it. That's probably not the best idea, but if you want it just for debris and leaves and just cool stuff like that, there's nothing wrong with it. Give it a whirl. Catch you next time.